No, they continue to put these assholes on the phones for the jobs at DOJ, LAPD, FBI, every agency you could think of under the sun. And they're not the actual investigators typically. But yeah, they seem to have a problem with the intake and how they respond to the public. And no agency should be acting this way. It is the most asinine thing that I had to put up with, mostly as a survivor. I've already gone through so much hell. But I don't need some piece of shit talking some crap to me on the phone like that. It's such a horrible event. And it's like, come at me. They watched. It's like, yeah, they effing watched. Did you write that down? Did you investigate them? Did you do anything? What did you do? Oh, no, you went to Target as survivors. That's what you did. Be honest. Be truthful. Don't be putting this fake crap out in the public and trying to spin the story that you guys cared so much and you got scared of David Copperfield's money. I mean, this is just stupid. Government goes after mafia, cartels. They're scared of a David Copperfield's money. Does that not ring a bunch of bullshit up in here with y'all? I hope it does, because they're effing with you. See, if they actually took anything seriously that they cared about, we shouldn't say take it seriously, that they care about, they would have found that the perpetrators in our story are pals with the cops. And it was so important because I'm like, holy crap, I couldn't even find that out without an investigation. But I didn't have to do anything. The criminals outed themselves with that. I didn't have to do anything. I just sat back, you let time happen, and they start chirping. She's telling the media, her version is that she wants to paint it as fake, so she flings out that. But not realizing we've been seeking why they would cover it up. I've been saying, but, cracky wackies, it's just wonderful. So I was just sitting back going, yeah, I wanted FBI and all them to go check this shit out because, holy crap, they did watch. And I need to figure out why the hell they be going on like this for those people. Those people. That whole group of people. But it got flung out. Here's the other thing about it. It got put in the public in 2019, which I didn't know. I just found it like weeks back. And I had been going through the case. I didn't think I was going to hear anything new from it like that. No, it was actually flung out here in 2019. And I've been talking about those individuals going, I don't know why they covered up for them. I keep saying it, right? I hope a lot of people hear me all the time, which is the purpose. I don't know why they covered up for them. They covered up for them. They covered up for them. And they're in the background. Oh, I was dating that undercover there. Oh, what? Where's FBI? Oh, what are you doing? You're talking shit to me on the phone? I actually told them that story. I was telling them I don't know how this even came about, but when I called on this one occasion, it was after 2019. So it's after she flings it into the public. And we already went to FBI earlier about this. So we're talking 2014. I didn't see it out here like that. But anyway, I tell them this thing with the cop portion. I go, I don't know what the hell's going on here. But it's all related to child sex trafficking and child rape and the men's conduct, okay? This is where all that misconduct is happening and them raping girls and all this crap, okay? And we need to get to the bottom of this organized crime thing that's going on up in here. And then we have knowledge that there's probably these gang members, blah, 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 blah. So it's pretty extensive. It was like this whole other area where everybody doesn't talk about, right? It's everything that everybody doesn't talk about. Their conduct on women. And I'm just like, I've had enough. Even the lawyers are such piles of shit because they only go to law school to go protect men from cops. And I'm just like, so you don't consider cops raping other women as police misconduct? All right, that's interesting. Where'd you go, Harvard? I don't know. What you shouldn't like either is Jeffrey Epstein paying for law students because we're running across a bunch of you-know-whats that are related to those people. And they're out to seek protection. And they turn that law student into a human trafficking pimp recruiter in order to pay for their school. You have a level here of crap going on, like so much. He turned her into a recruiter. Did she actually, she tried to bring someone to him, and he's like, she said not over 24, which marries Krause's knowledge of age ranges, where he claims he doesn't know anything. He definitely does, mostly when it comes out of another party's mouth with this weird, strange age thing of this is the cap off age. There's something in the story that doesn't make sense, and this one in particular caught my attention because they mentioned Rick James. And I was like, gosh, this story is so detailed. Perhaps that's not the same person because they didn't meet yet. And the Rick James concert was in 1980 and 1981, which actually predates any 35 years prior. That goes way back. But again, you know, when I was looking at it, I was like, well, you could say somebody mistakenly gave some wrong dates, but that would predate their ages as well when they're talking about the story. It's important to me because that's related to my case with some individuals that had a tie with Rick James in the 1980s. And it tells into the 91 portion, 92 portion, and they were human trafficking kids. So I'm a victim up in here, and I was trying to tell FBI. So here's the thing. If you want to believe this story, which I have problems with the story itself, but we can get into this because actually then it pulls in the second party. If we want to go into this and you want to take anything as credible fact and whatever. Apparently, this Trump Marina was built in 1985, or it was founded in 1985. The Trump Marina was originally built and opened in 1985. It takes a long time to build a building. So, for permits, whatever, I don't know how this even came about. The pedo party that I was with went to travel and they went there. On several occasions, I believe, but I didn't go to these further out places because I don't fly. There was a whole thing with this, and they were talking about going to New York, and I had initially wanted to move to New York, so there was this thing about it. So I was like, there's no way in hell I would go on a plane and be stuck with these idiots in New York, and I don't even know the area, so then I would be reliant upon my perpetrator. It's not happening. If I go to New York, I don't want to go with these people. So yeah, there was one conversation one day about that, but yes, and I was saying I never heard them even speak of Trump himself. They could have, and I just didn't care. That could be, I don't know, but I never heard that. But they did go. And they went right after some sketchy events that happened to me here. And so I was looking at that. But on the Rick James portion, yes, that would be of importance because that's going into this drug underworld crap. And then there's been allegations in here also about drug stuff. And then I was saying how bizarre it was that it got covered up. And then she comes out in the recent years saying she had a tie with an undercover cop. And I go, good. See, that's where FBI is supposed to do their job. So, can you tell me, FBI, why you be talking shit to me when the individuals that I'm saying that are involved in this are all getting outed? Like, we're actually discovering who the people are. It took a long time for this, you guys. That's a lot of work. The fact that I could even identify a single person from 1992 when I'm a kid and they're all strangers is an amazing feat. But I have a very interesting videographic memory. So there's certain things that I do pay attention to. One of the things I don't pay attention to many times is people's facial features. So it's very difficult for me to pull people just from a face. But we have other things that we pay high attention to just around these individuals. And but I had already given that information to an agent in like 2010 or 11, in particular with this one case. The problem with that case when I'm telling them is that I do not yet see myself as a victim in the dumping of me there. So I have no knowledge that my dad lied on this portion. So when they're asking me questions, I'm like, oh, I'm emancipated. So, 'cause I'm a kid though. That's why I'm in the situation, right? But they're supposed to investigate that, because if they find out there's no legal thing showing that I was, then you have to come back at me and question me about it. It's not a knowing lie. It's actually part of the setup on me. And it would have helped me in the case, because I'm just stupid and I don't know anything. I'm gaslit. I'm just the whole thing about it, because my dad dumps me with the pedos, and so I don't fight, right? I'm not like, hey, cops, my parents, blah, blah, blah. Well, they get my ID and multiple times, and it's not me committing a crime, but they get my ID multiple times, and they have to see this. So there was a knowing thing going on here in a cover-up. So the lady that was running the drug ring, or being a part of it, and she's claiming it's all fake. That's lovely. My rapes are not fake, and nor was stealing 5 figures from me is not fake. So in a span of like 6 weeks, okay? So these people want to start making up stuff because they're celebrities and they can get away with it. They have their friends in government and whatnot, and Michael Jackson and whatnot. Yes, these are people that are allegedly assisting in some of this stuff, be it by financial means, just their celebrity, their friends, everything. So this was going on. So I was like, yeah, they're like running a thing here, and I'm a child victim in it, and they tried to like pimp me out to some like 6-year-old man and crap, and all this stuff, and just some really, really dirty lowball, just a lot of stuff in this. Okay, so it's distressing to even talk about it, because I didn't talk about it up until TMZ runs this story, and it just boom triggered me, because she's like, Michael owes me money. I go, oh, that's funny. Somebody else owes me money, because somebody was living off my money. Yeah, it was crazy. So it did this thing, and TMZ could even verify. I posted on there about that. So that's in 2009. And I was like, no, I came out. And then finally I do this thing on it, like some years later. And I start getting accused by a bunch of idiots saying they're related to her, and all this stuff, the cult of Michael Jackson's people. Anyway, they're just saying all these crazy things, and they're like, you trying to get famous off this story? I'm like, who the hell would get famous off a drug ring? I don't know. Like, I don't know. This is not the particular story I would want to make up, because it's totally dank. And I didn't have any part of their ring. I'm not a part of their business thing. So they use me as somebody to steal money from, car from, to cover up crimes on, I guess. They were trying to recruit me, and there's another kid in the story, by the way. So we have 2 children in the story. And at some point, like, the worst of the story happens after this girl leaves. So there was an incident that happened, so they are well aware of the incident. So now, on government records, it will have the name of the people that partook in the government end. And so we needed that investigated, because these names are on record of these corrupt cops. So I was like, yes, there is a trail. It isn't like just only, some cop on the street needed some bad thing and nobody knows about it. There is one in here that is, but there is somebody that's connected to that person who is on record that ends up doing the nabbing and not letting me leave the area and not calling CPS, and covered up the ring. So now she admits, after this long period of time, that she had a relationship with one of those crash unit boys, because that's who was going on at the time, is like the what ended up turning into the Rampart story. Well, this is pre-Rampart, so you're talking in 92. So that unit was created, I guess, in the late 80s or something. Anyway, so these idiots are out here, with their fake narcotic crap and being a part of it and stuff like that. Obviously, they were a part of it because this is going on. So I'm just like, they're gonna get busted, and I don't want, I don't want to be a part of any of that. You could ask any person back home how I am, like my personality traits and how I was, and I will go tell their mother if they were even involved in some crap like that. So I'm sitting here like in the middle of some crap that I would go tell every single one of your mothers about. Like, yes. So I'm just sitting here like, and I'm so not for pimping anybody out, because I did call someone's mom because I thought something like that was going on. Not even long before this. It was like the year prior, I believe. Yeah. So I'm watching this out of the scope of I'm not the victim. It's so effed up how like children reframe bullshit up in here. And I'm like, I'm going to kick these guys' asses and whatnot. This whole thing, and I'm getting raped to shit. Okay. So I'm a major victim in it. But the way the agent was talking to me is like, oh, nothing happened to you. I'm like, that's not what I said. The guy's like trying to traffic me, and he's trying to get on me as a kid, and somebody had to stop him. But that's just one part of the story. It's like this little tidbit where it was like connected to these other people. But we didn't know the interconnections yet. It happened through lots of investigating on these people. And later, Dr. Dre is seen with her at Hugh Hef's party. And I go, oh, yeah, so they are friends and stuff like that. It was important because when I was saying Suge Knight, what was important about the Suge Knight thing was, I go, yeah, the guy's reminding me of Suge Knight, but I don't even know if Suge Knight was even there. He just reminds me of him. But he just so happened to be over there. And he gets arrested for beating up these rapper guys. And I go, is it the same guys? It doesn't say who he beat up. And the other guy that used to remind me of him, actually went up to these guys and got them to get the hell away, like to not be trying any of that. And I go, that is weird. No random person's going to do that because they're a bunch of little gangbangers from like Texas or some crap, I guess. I couldn't connect them initially because I was like, I think they're from another state. So it's probably just a coincidence that these guys look alike. No, and then allegedly they did some things with those same very people. So there's a lot of connectors, right? It isn't, oh, I just think they look like somebody. It was like, I can't accuse somebody unless I could even prove that they were even here, because if I see Texas, I can't go, that dude came from Texas and came to here unless we have some proof that he was actually here. Well, they show video proof that he was actually here. And I was like, oh, well, hell. Can we explain, like, why he's there then? Now we got to explain, like, why he's in the area if it's him. Well, they were recording. And they were doing all this stuff. They were doing the video thing. They did some parts, I guess, on something. It was like something like that. So this is where we landed on that. And I go, yeah, then it's more than likely, yes, that's them. It explains why they're in the area. They probably were just roaming around because they never been here before, and they're just, maybe because they knew the area, they were trying to see the area like everybody else would be in Hollywood and whatnot. And but somehow knew and had a 13-year-old that was half naked. And I'm sitting here just like, I don't know what crap is going on in this part of the country. We don't see this back home. And it's in the open and nobody has a problem with it. And I do. And yeah, I had a problem with it even then. So it's not like I look at some 13-year-old getting pipped out and thinking she know what she's doing. That girl was drugged out, couldn't even walk in these high heels. And she's a 13-year-old half naked in the public with these I believe it was 3 black males. And I'm like, no. But I can't do anything because they have guns and shit. And they're being, this way. And they're trying to hit on me. And I'm a kid too. She's younger than me though. But I'm a kid too. I feel like the parent, right? It's a different mentality that's going on right here as a kid. So I was like, I can't do anything. So this story moves on. So the agents grilled me particularly on that specific incident. And so I gave them all this information. I mean, I was like, I know it sounds fake and all that because the dude's description, but it's real and I don't, you know what I mean? It's just this thing. And he exists and we could prove that he exists. And I was like, we could prove he exists now. But it sounded like even me telling the story, like you hear it and it just sounds totally like just out there. Just like, what? There's this little tiny dude. I go, you don't understand that guy's crazy ass, you know? And then his friends are talking about it, which I do think the guy that's talking about him, that's being crazy with the gun, is the other guy that was with them. And you know what I mean? These people they do not cooperate, okay? They're going to pretend they forget things. They may have forgotten things because they commit these crimes all the time. They're on drugs, whatever. But they had these two taller guys with them. And it's like, well, who else would be with them? Because those are his buddies, right? So, but to sit there and go, that's him for sure, would be wrong of me because I need to prove that. So, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I go, I suspect. That's where we're at. We suspect the guy that was talking about him that I think he said he's so crazy ass that he had to like beat him up one night or something because he does that, waving the gun out. I go, yes, this is what he was doing in the open, out on the public street with tons of people. He didn't pull it out, but he opened the jacket to go, hey, look at what I got. And I was like, oh God, no. It was laughable until about that moment. So then it became like, oh shit, this dude is a hot mess. Like, you don't even want to mess with him. Even though, like, if he didn't have that, you could literally just, like, kick him to the curb. I mean, it's that story. He has to do that because he's so little. The street people will beat his ass up. He's acting more tough than he is, but he has to have a gun like that. And the gun's bigger than his body. It was insane. So, those people, I don't know about them particularly, but the other lady had a very direct tie to Rick James. And when I'm looking at the story, I'm like, Jeffrey is a fan of Rick James? Like, it was a weird thing. So I was like, maybe there is a more deeper thing to that, because I didn't just right away go, oh, this is a fake story. I'm having problems with it because things are not aligning like properly in the way that they're saying. So I don't know. It could just be like, I would have to sit down with this person speaking, but it just could be that they think it's somebody else and they read these stories. And I've been talking about the Trump Marina forever because it's related to the other camp that's named in the story. I go, they have the tie to Trump, not me. They have the tie to Trump, the perpetrators of ours. And that's why Trump's ex-girlfriend it was being looked at as well, because she was a witness in our stuff. But I don't have any direct, like, it's not a thing where Trump's doing it, you know, anything like that. It'd be me making something up if I did that. So nothing. I have like zero anything on him. I never even heard his name mentioned. I didn't even know that was Trump's ex. It was a crazy thing because I kept talking about her for years. And then Bobby Brown comes out pissed off at everybody. And I had to like look into this, and I still didn't put it together. It like, I don't know. It like took me a hot minute. I had to look at something. And then I was like, oh, he married Trump's ex? Oh, that's the witness. I thought it was some groupie girl. Like, the whole time I thought, like, it was so funny because I was like, there's this blonde. And they come in and this whole thing happened. I'm just talking shit about the story because this is just the reality of what happened. But then later, I see them again. And I'm like, wow, he must have the same type of girl that he likes. Because I didn't even know he was married. So I just assumed that it was some other girl that he was dating at a later date. And I realized when I was looking at the story and then went into his background, I go, oh, that's Trump's ex-girlfriend, and he married his ex. I had no idea. That was news to me. I go, well, that's easy. Now we know who the girl is. I didn't think in a million years I would be able to identify the girl, but we got to be able to identify the girl. So then Trump goes and calls her. So I'm watching Trump's conduct too. He calls her. She doesn't say how he gets her number. She's like, oh, maybe the media. I'm like, the media is not giving out your phone number. If the media is giving out your phone number to random people, regardless of who they are, they should be busted. I do not believe he got the number from the media unless the media person is his friend and they're doing something unethical. But he somehow gets her phone number. She doesn't even act like there's a problem with that. And then starts trashing Bobby. It was so weird. I was like, I like Bobby. I mean, I had to listen to her because then she made me feel bad because I was like, I don't even know the backstory to that crap. So it's just me, this whole thing about it. It's just real perceptions of what was going on at the time. So then she said some other stuff, and I was like, shoot. Like I'm just listening to it because I didn't hear that. But the same people in this story, and it goes into the DO camp and all this other stuff, these people have covered up sex crimes. So this is a knowing thing. So you guys didn't know, like, I started to talk about that Joe thing, but they don't know, like, that basically those camps just covered it up and then glorified those two guys and then totally worked with them and did all this crap. It was so evil, actually. It was really evil. Innocent. Like, I'm the innocent victim in the story, and I'm like, I don't know why this is even going on, and I don't know why they're so vindictive evil. Like, this thing going on. There's a thing going on in the background, but you guys don't know about it. And then she's off, the wife is off, like, making up stuff about somebody else, and I go, that is literally not where that information came from. It's just not true. Because that guy, I think, is mad at me, and me and him never talked. If we talked, we'd have a little sit down, this thing about it, but no, So I was like, okay. But here's what we do know, is that one of y'all, and it wasn't Ronnie, because he's dead, invited the rapist to come right inside to the private area for Ronnie. And nobody knows who that is. Like, that's some other dude that's related to some far off people. And then they found out about this rape, and then they go and do that. And that happened at the memorial. And then the people that want to steal the video from the memorial are people that totally degraded me, did not run these stories, were trying to protect all these men, these particular men, because they're, friends and fans, right? So they were protecting the pedo shit. They were big time blabbermouth. Oh, God. So them, the Metal Sludge was Circus, Metal Edge. Metal Edge actually outed my home address as a kid. So I ended up in the Rock magazine when I was a minor, and it happened right before this incident happened, before I meet these people. And they put my name and home address, and they just publicized it across the globe. Do you guys think that's a smart move? No. I was like, no. We ended up talking to prisoners and all kinds of shit. So they did not care about the safety of children and the well-being. Metal Edge, no. And so Metal Edge and these guys had a close connection, and there was a lot of people with close connections. Those are the connections that I knew. I'm not thinking of Jeffrey, okay? This dude is not in my presence, and nor is Trump, and nor is these other... There's some business people, though. So I had told people, I go, it's so weird. There was these other random business guys, and they explained who some of them were, and I only remember one in particular, which was Calloway. But there was more than Calloway, but it was like, I remember Calloway, because it's an easy name, I guess, to remember. I don't know, I just remember the name to this day. And they were like, yeah, golf, he's this golf thing. And they go, there was this whole conversation back then about how they do these big business deals on the golf course. And I don't know if Trump said it, somebody said it up in here. And I was like, yes, because they were talking about how when they go on tour, they were telling me that everywhere they stay has to have a golf course, because this guy wants to go play golf all the time because he's OCD. And it didn't sound like anybody else was all into this. Everybody's just like, yeah, it was like this whole other thing. Like, they just have to cater to the crap over there. So, yeah, it just became this thing in the background where it's like, golf. Okay, he's getting, the reason why he loves this place, because the golf course overlooks the ocean in San Diego. So, all these stories that are popping up, I'm paying attention to when they're mentioning golf courses, because the same other people have the connections to the golf courses. And then I used to talk to people going, you gotta watch out for those golf guys because of all this crap right here, because they're witnesses. I'm there. I'm a victim, and they don't care who the hell I am. They don't care anything, okay? And it doesn't even faze them that I'm like the youngest person in the room and the rest of these guys are like 40 plus. Yeah, it's just this thing, you guys. Like they're reliving their younger days when they were running a human trafficking ring, the child human trafficking ring, which was in the open. So where was Homeland, right? That was okay to them. So they're into kids. It's not a thing they go, I'm into kids in the 1970s and I'm no longer into kids. Like that is not a thing. They're going to chronically always be into kids. They're going to see no issues being with kids. They're going to normalize this thing till the day they die. And that's kind of what happened right here. So then they start leading me into that everybody knows about this. It's no big thing and we should all know about it. And, you're the one with the problem, basically. Like it lays back down onto me, like I'm the one with the problem. The rest of this is just how this universe is, and blah, 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 blah. And this includes lawyers, okay? So I'm like, we got a major problem here. If these people are normalizing getting children. So I started having that flip out online because after I get like outed, so I'm posting on there like, I don't give a shit what you think. But I'm here to warn other parents, and it's still there. I'm here to warn other parents about these men and going at children, blah, 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 blah. Now, mind you, this 25 years ago. 25 effing years ago, you guys. And in those topics, they started trying to dangle blackmail at me, but I'm not really bothered by blackmail. Like, I mean, it happens, but for me to get out of it, I don't know, it's like in the one case with the money thing, it was just like, I'm just going to tell you about the business, just leave me alone, and I'm out of here, because they were trying to blackmail me in this business thing. So it's just like, it happens, and that's just how I deal with it. So they fling out this thing, and I'm like, oh, they're going to try to like do a spin doctor thing on something where I was actually groomed, which took years to even get to that point. And you're going to try to sit there and steer that crap off from the fact that you're into kids and got a kid and blah, blah, blah. So I tackled it and I had to talk about grooming and how grooming doesn't end just because you turn 18. And how it went into this whole thing. And it took so many years even because they could only pull out something from way past then. So I go, yeah, it took a lot of years. It was a lot of trying to get me to feel safe again. And like, just, I never fully felt safe, but it was some sort of, a lot of manipulation in that. And then when it happened, I knew something was wrong, even with myself, because I'm always critically analyzing my thoughts. But I was like, yeah, there's something sick about this and not right. But your emotions are somewhere else. It's really weird. And then so at a point, finally, that thing ends. Like whatever happened right there. And yeah, but they were trying to use it as a defense for them being into kids. Like, I don't know, but they were trying to dangle it like, look what we have. And I'm like, well, that's weird that you even have that. But, let's talk about that. To try to take the whatever they think that it's powerful or something. I go, it's not. It's effed up, but you want to re-traumatize me. Thank you. You're a bunch of dickwads. But yeah, so I was trying to talk to the public about that stuff. So it was odd talking to the public because I don't normally deal with the public. I deal with these rich pieces of shit. And they are not in the know and they just want to meet the celebrity. They're that self-centered. And they're into kids because they're like, so yeah, I was like, okay, well, I'm not talking to the right room, I guess, because you should be totally outraged and weirded out by this. No, it wasn't even, like I said, I was like, when I'm reading through it, they're just like minimizing the topic to, this is so childish. And it wasn't even me posting this one thing. And I'm just like, well, I'm glad I'm not the one that's seen that. That's disgusting. But anyways, we're here to, stop this and seek some justice on this now, because since I just got outed, I can't go about it the way I would normally would want to. We were trying to seek other victims. The MO of that was trying to seek other victims, and it ended up just turning into outright war online. And they were doing it online, not in private, in the open, and then saying they were bullying me. They admitted to doing that and harming my career, and saying they were jealous because I'm actually trying to do something, like just making these oddball comments. Like they were saying a lot of weird stuff, but they were initially trying to spin everything out and then saying something didn't happen. And I go, you weren't even there, so I don't even know why this guy that you're dealing with online is saying stuff like that. I was like, you weren't there, and I was, and I had a witness there, so I don't know why you would make up something online. But the fans don't know this. Like, they're not there. They don't even know what transpired at this one thing. So, yeah, I was battling a lot of that. And so every time they would fling out some oddball thing like that, it steers you away from the fact that they're into kids. And I keep going. They keep trying to detour the topic, man. The thing is, they're into kids. They got a kid. They try to rape a kid. They did a big cover-up. They're trying to justify it a million different ways to China, and there's no justification for any of this. And they took an opportunity where they saw there was no adult and decided to lure me to a home, which is kidnapping, by the way. I just need to repeat that to idiots that don't know what kidnapping is. You don't need a gun held to you. If you tell a kid to go to your home, and you were not supposed to go to their home, some kid, and you go try to sexually assault them, that is kidnapping. I don't know, but their brains, we're talking 25 years ago. We know the law. I mean, we knew that much. So I'm not that far behind where people are like, oh, that's human trafficking. Yeah, well, they didn't even use the term human trafficking back then. And I keep fighting with government about it because the Christians want human trafficking to be legal in marriages and whatnot and whatnot. So their viewpoint is we minimize it as long as I do it in the name of the Lord. It's like, no, this is bullshit. That is human trafficking. And there was a lot of stuff in this, like a lot. So I was like really forced to like tackle it. And I don't even have a study on it. Like there's no me learning about grooming from some college or, you know, nothing. I just know that's just truth, right? It's just the truth of me knowing the truth about what happened. And then government's over here helping them out. And government want to act like they're all stupid to it. I go, that's a joke. You guys are the ones that targeted me. It was government. And I really want to repeat this with government. So back to the story as we're laying that out. No, I sat with the story because the drug ring has a link to a Russian dude. And in Jeffrey's story, there's some interesting things to Russian people. And I was like, well, like, I can't say nothing about it, right? I'm just looking at it. But the dates of those shows are much earlier than mid-1980s. Because I'm looking and it says 1980, 1981. That's not 1985. You're talking years prior. So they're saying that Jeffrey in his late 20s, he would have been around 29, I believe, at the time of these shows, is when this thing happened with whoever individual. So I was like, I can't even go right there because that's not mid-1980s. That's actually 1980, 81. So the dates are wonky. Then, from what we know in public, Trump said that he met him about 15 years prior, or whatever it was, and it would have dated to around 87. Could he just generically threw 15 and they actually met in 1985? Yeah, sure. You could say 15. I knew him for 15 years and then they actually met in 1985. I mean, you could have that. It just wasn't matching, but it wasn't in 1980. So then I went into, there's no known thing of him being in South Carolina. But the evidence that they're saying, it doesn't mean that the story, like, this was the weird thing with it. I go, oh, you know what could have happened too, because they're so young, they may have assumed that dude is Jeffrey, and it's actually somebody else. Like, this is horrifying anyway, even if that is the case in the story, that the person resembles them, and then the stories with the mom are true, right? Like she went for embezzling money, but her mom may have just made up stories too. You know, like it could be this whole other thing going on. Like I think like there's portions in it that are based on truth, but that doesn't connect Jeffrey nor Trump. It's weird. So I was like, yes, I mean, like I was sitting with it because another portion of it sounded like a ripoff of my story. And then it started feeling weird about it because there's not anybody else that I know that actually got a gutter other than me who really did with the maps, which we could prove. We have concrete proof that happened. So this isn't, oh, they threatened the gutter and then that was the end. I go, no, they did. And they gave it and they gave me a map and it's really effed up while they're being investigated. So she lays that out there and I'm like, I don't know if it's somebody that's like, you have to question it because it for me, it's like some of these things, right? And then the FU thing, you guys need to understand, this actually happened to my vehicle during the time she's talking to FBI. So somebody came to my vehicle and put FU on my vehicle on the driver's side. And they started targeting me for months. Like there's like numerous things of them doing it. Well, LAPD is the one that's covering it up. So we have photos, proof, went to go actually file. They said file it even online. I go, why are you not here? It's stalking and somebody's leaving me messages. Now I get a death, like a physical violent threat from those rich people's camp, from their people, like people that they say are talking to them. And here's FBI and government and LAPD and Google and everybody covering this up. And I have a copy of it. And I'm like, yeah, see, here's where it's going. It's pointing to government 1000% part of targets. You guys need to be aware of that. It was fundamentally mostly government doing these evil targets on the survivors. They're trying to throw it off and act like they cared. I go, our conversation did not show an ounce of care. Not an ounce. And we're in the public. This isn't behind closed doors at a mansion, on an island. This is literally in the public of their conduct. And then they see my accounts getting taken by these men and they're partaking in it. There's so much in it. There's so much in it. It's making Harvey seem like the nice guy and he's such a poly, you-know-what. Harvey goes down. I go, yeah, but these men are still out here. These women and men are still out here. Jeffrey's dead. These men and women are still out here, guys. So, they're claiming the Post and Courier newspaper in Charleston, South Carolina was able to corroborate details of her life. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I go, the portion that she's saying, it probably happened, like these one things that they're talking about. But it does not connect these other people. That's why I was like, and the dates are wonky to the other facts that we know. And it's not to disregard any freaking other victim out here, but there's been a lot that they may think it happened to them from these people, but it may be other people. And if it is other people, we should look at that too, right? So it says, and the other thing that pissed me off about this is that government actually sat down and did an interview with her, which they never, ever did with me about these guys. Never, ever. And this is so effed up. And they told me to go off and do the investigations. I'm like, this is bullshit. How come I'm treated completely different than everybody else? She's not related to government. I am. She does not have her father with licenses with the state. I'm being treated like the worst, you know what, because in my story, it actually will show you, as a matter of fact, government was involved. They don't want it on record, guys. I'm literally telling you, they're piles of shit. They were hiding names. They were doing all kinds of crap, dude. And steering it off and talking shit to me and degrading women with the most stereotypical crap you could ever think of, how men talk to women. And I had to deal with this for years, like going to agency and then trying to get these so-called investigations out that FBI is saying that actually that's really their effing job. It is not mine. And it leads to this situation right now that we're in, which is horrifying. Essentially off-kilter effing people. That's just an MS-13. That was lovely. That was their bullshit. They're trying to kill me. Let's just be real. We're laying that out. Government tried to murder me off. Because I'm doing as government said. This isn't something I'm doing outside of government and some bullshit happened. This is government. And they need to be held accountable for that shit. It is not my fault that they are incompetent and how they send us off as victims to go deal with this crap. They diverted these investigations as well, the government, while they're telling me to go do it. That's interesting. I was like, wow, can somebody make some sense of this? It makes sense now with the Jeffrey thing. It gives a lot of information. So I was like, yeah, how in the hell? Okay, can government explain to me how I would know Jeffrey's in the background with some other bullshit here? Can you tell me? Because you talk to me like I'm supposed to know this before I even do an investigation. I was like, not from where I come from. If you don't know what the hell's going on, you investigate it. You don't come in telling the full story and you know exactly what happened. I don't. So they got the details from her life in the recent release from the federal government's archive. The woman was interviewed 4 freaking times by the FBI in 2019, which is when I was complaining and I just got sent a threat online. And government's over here making shit up and talking shit to me. This is what is telling me off and getting really pissed off about this particular story too. There was a number of things here. And I called FBI during one of the things where these men were conversing in the background. I didn't know they were conversing like this. And I'm trying to tell FBI there's some bullshit going on. And I have some high concern because I'm getting targets. And they are literally in here conversing. And they show it and I go, oh, that's an addition. Like, that's just an addition. I didn't even see that one coming. But no, yeah, So these things are happening simultaneously together as I'm on the phone with FBI and they're talking shit. And in the background, they're writing down on this paper, or showing the conduct between them all. Can you tell me why FBI was covering that up and trying to help them out? Can you guys tell me why FBI is trying to help them out? You guys don't know that, but I do. Why were they trying to help those guys out? That's what's new. You have the papers right there. It is infuriating. Okay, so they details that and then blah, blah, blah. So she gave details about her life and legal history. Yeah, I don't think she's lying about that they went to a concert, that these other things happened, because it was detailed. I was saying it sounds like something did happen, but maybe they're confusing who the people actually are, unless they have any court documents that say Jeffrey Epstein on it. If it does that, then I have to eat my words. But it doesn't. So it says, she gave details about her life, her legal history, and the newspaper was able to verify using news reports, court records. Yes. So the thing about the mom getting that thing. Okay. It only proves that part of the story happened. And it seemed like it did happen because it's just too much. It was just like this happened, that happened, that happened. So none of the confirmed details are directly related to her allegations against Trump. What about Jeffrey? I didn't see that there was a thing on Jeffrey. In her interview, the FBI, she described Epstein's activities in the mid-'80s on Hilton Head Island. But they said the concert is before the mid-'80s. And so that's where it started getting kind of funny. Because if it does, but here's the thing. I will eat my words and be happy about it. Because if this ends up turning out to be true, then you have to go back to that Rick James crap, because that went into these other people and there may be far more things involved in that case. That's why we keep going. We need to get it investigated, but it's the government that's blocking the investigation in the 92 portion. That's a connection to the other people. And Michael Jackson is in this story, and Michael Jackson did go to Jeffrey's events, like something like that, met up with him. So there's this weird, it doesn't mean they're involved in the actual things with these people, but they have the connections, and it's important to find out what these connections are, why they would hide a drug ring. These people were human trafficking kids. So was Jeffrey, right? So you have this Russian guy also, and I'm like, how does this Russian guy get in the story though? Like, I don't know personally. And I remember him very well. And I didn't realize when they did I knew about the arrest. Like, I was told by the other perpetrator that gets arrested later, said they got arrested, but I didn't see who they arrested. And then, I don't know, some years in, I finally start looking into it. And they show the picture and I go, oh my God, that's that piece of shit that was chronically on the corner. Like, I knew who he was. And I remember they called him that. They even called him Russian so-and-so. And I go, that is effing weird. So he's the supposed mastermind. It seemed weird because the guy that I'm dealing with is like way more atrocious in the story. As she described Epstein's activities in the mid-1980s on Hilton Island. Do we know it's Epstein? Do we have valid proof? Because in the story, it was like, there was no proof that it was these people or something weird about it. So then he was sexually assaulting minors. She said Epstein consistently pressured her to find more girls to come party. But there's tons of guys that do this. I just want to point this out. There's actually a lot of guys out here right now with a lot of money that are doing this. So the story could sound similar. It could seem similar. There is other people doing this, which is also related to Peter Nygaard's people. They were doing this. There's a lot of people. Corey Feldman was doing the party thing too, right? So it doesn't solidify to me that that was exactly Jeffrey. And again, the dates are weird. So you're saying Jeffrey went to this concert? That's what I read. Then you're talking 4 or 5 years prior to this. Just saying, but that's what it was. So, okay, so he was sexually, okay, so then they pressure her to find more girls, describing the friends as disgusting. The so-called parties usually involve alcohol, drugs, and would turn violent, beating, hair pulling. She said Trump forced her to commit a sex act on him around 84 after she traveled to New York with Epstein. Okay, so now that's 84. Now we go back. See, this is why I'm saying there was a problem because, okay, in 1984, okay, if you're building, let me go back to the building thing. It doesn't tell you the specifics, so this drives me nuts. I need specific details, okay? When you look at AI, this is what it says. Trump Marina was originally built and opened in 1985. What, did the building start being built in 1985, or did they start doing building in 84? Like, I could see it going into 84, but it's not saying that. You can't build a building like that overnight. Like, they have to do permits. It takes a long time. They have to do all this crap, right? So it takes quite an extensive amount of time to start building this property and then getting it up to be running, okay? So so they go to 84. This is where I started having problems, okay, guys? It wasn't like I read it and go, she's just a liar. I was like, no, I'm just thinking in my mind, maybe she's confusing something, but I don't know. Anyway, in 1984, after she traveled to New York with Epstein. So you have to show what, okay, he started building this property in 84, and they had a relationship in 84. You're going then, why wouldn't you say he knew him for 20 years? Because it lands in 87. So if you're more closer to 84, they knew each other prior to then. Why didn't you go, I've known him for 2 decades. I've known him for 20 years. Like, you would more say something like that. Even if it was only 18 years, you would more go 20 years. He didn't say that. And then they said a different date too. So I'm like, somebody else maybe. I don't know. That's where it went. So then it goes, she detailed that one incident took place while Trump was developing a casino in Atlantic City. Well, it's saying 85. Like I said, we could have a thing here where they started building in 84 and then this thing goes into 84, then everybody has their facts wrong and this is why it's coming off as not proper. She was led to Trump in a very tall building with huge rooms. Trump allegedly told others to leave the room and then told her, let me teach girls how they're supposed to be. Okay, so she gave this whole thing. Not that this would be unbelievable that he did this, okay? This isn't the part, this isn't, like, it actually could have happened. He has other allegations from adult women. So, I'm looking at the finer details of some things because on these other cases that came out, they were claiming at a golf place that wasn't even his at the time. It was so crazy. I was like, yeah, all people are doing is searching online. Like, you could take your real story and then fling it onto another story, which has nothing to do with you. You may think that though, and it's not actually a purposeful thing. It's like, you could be so convinced that that's the guy, even though it's not, but the situation happened. And so it doesn't feel so much that unless they are purposely trying to pull in that. They may have been researching it and then saw when the Trump Arena was built and then tried to put it in here thinking it was them. It could be that. It could be a number of things that how this even came about. Or if it is real, then, oh man, it's going to open this whole other thing to earlier friendships, earlier conduct, and then some other related people. And then now it starts going into my story, into the Ola thing right there. Like this other bullshit that's going on. But I'm just saying, this is why I sat with it. I was like, oh my God, if that even happened, I wouldn't even be surprised. Like there's another addition in our story. I don't know. They never answered it. I go, why is there this Russian guy here? And then she's out here saying it's all fake. Nothing was fake about that ring, you guys. It was horrific. And me and this young girl, like, we're just out here, like, effing around that like any kids would, right? You're just like, wow, we're in a place without parents and everything's going on out here, clubs and nightlife, and all of a sudden in the middle of the day, this guy's just like, hey, y'all know Michael Jackson? It's like, fuck yeah, wait. You know, it was like this whole thing about it. And then it's like, you want to go to this party? See, same thing, right? And we thought, but I honestly didn't think it was a drug party. It was like I was thinking it was going to be some big, like Grammy party type of thing. I honestly thought it was going to be something like that. And we're all coming in, like, not even dressed for it, you know? We're all coming, and then they bring us to this seedy ass apartment. And I'm like, this can't be right. They're like, oh, we're going to your place. I go, here? Here? I wouldn't even be caught dead here. It's a pile of shit. It's like a cockroach, like apartment building. I live in a house. You know what I mean? It's like, even then I was even renting a house. That house was a pile of shit too, but I was renting a house. I'm like, you're telling me she lived in a apartment like this famous woman that's on TV all the time lives in this pile of shit, and we walk in and it's just, what the F? And it's her and it's just like, try to take that in, man. I was like, try to take this in, and there's no Michael here. I'm like, there's no Michael here, there's no famous people here. I mean, there's no, like, you know, this whole, like, shebang. But I guess it was, like, famous people's siblings and some other seedy characters. In a statement to the newspaper, White House Press Secretary Caroline said the woman's allegations were baseless accusations from decades ago. They are backed by zero evidence or facts. Describe the accuser as a sadly disturbed woman who has an extensive criminal history. I don't care about her criminal history. She could be the biggest criminal out here, but telling the truth. If you're a criminal, you probably run across some of the worst criminals, right? Like Jeffrey and all his pals. So I'm not basing it on somebody doing drugs. I'm not basing it on, though the drugs could be totally warping the sense of the story. Like if she was a major drug addict, right? And the story happened, which they're proving those things did happen, like with the mom thing and all the other things. But clouded by who the individuals are is where it could be getting all mixed up, okay? And again, that may not be a purposeful thing, just saying, but just for the fact, I don't want to be running out here calling everybody a bunch of liars and crap, because the story feels like somebody may truly believe it. And so, yeah, no, I stewed on it. Like, I was literally going, oh my God, this thing is real. Like, what is, oh, Rick J. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it struck me. I was kind of like, wait. But then, on the finer details, as they're saying, there's zero evidence or facts. They shouldn't say zero evidence or facts. They should say there's zero evidence that it was Jeffrey and Trump, because the rest of the stuff is factual. Like, it's, those things happen. So I was like, okay, it was difficult, very difficult. I'm just letting you guys know my thought process on it. I've done it even on like Virginia's thing when we're talking about mental health and everything, and why, like, I was like, okay, wait a minute. But one thing on Virginia's thing, I knew she wasn't lying when she said she met Naomi Campbell. I was like, if she's going to come out here and say she's mean, she definitely met her. Like, that's a truthful statement right there. And it's just that humans are faulty, and maybe not even on purpose. And sometimes they mix up things. Such as when I'm saying Suge Knight, that is not purposeful. I must have seen him or something. I don't know. It is the most bizarre part of the story where I thought this one guy was him. Or not that I thought it was him. He reminded me of him, and I was questioning, is it him? Because I don't know. I didn't know who he was at the time. So when I'm looking at the story more, and as we got more information, I go, I can't imagine him just hanging out on a corner when he's over here making money in a studio. So I must have seen, maybe it's I seen something, seen them, and some of my memory is mixing up another incident to that, or they just do remind me of each other because they're pals and they just kind of dress alike. And this other, now he was allegedly in the area down the street. That's why I was like, that, you can't even make that up. You can't even effing make that up. That is just too random. Like, the chances of that happening is nothing. And then those people are related to them. That's why I was like, oh, weird. What? Yeah. And I was like, I don't think the guy that I'm thinking of is actually him. It could turn around. All of a sudden, they're going to say it is actually him. Then we're just going to go in circles with the story. But no, he straight up reminded me of him once they started showing who he was in the media. Because I was like, that's weird. The guy reminded me of him. And that guy in particular was ultra nice to me. And he wanted to make sure that none of these people harmed me. And it was weird about it. But then it started coming off like he's an undercover cop. Something weird about it. So I was like, I don't know. It's just a little, we don't know who that individual is yet to this date. But we may. And he could be a serial killer. That was another possibility because somebody mentioned that. And I go, well, nobody seems to know a serial killer in the area from that time. I'm trying to do justice to the story, man, you guys. I am. I don't want to drag the girl because obviously some part of it happened. Could she be criminally trying to morph her story into the story to get money from the story? Sure. I mean, I don't know her personally. The details that you're getting are the details of something that really happened, which is unrelated to the Jeffrey part. They're saying it's Jeffrey, but it's unrelated. Like, it could be any Flojo out here, okay? So that part is like, oh, wow, it brings you into the story, right? Because it's like, wow, that must have really happened because it's so detailed and mom had this happen and it really did happen and this happened and that happened. But then, yeah, when you start getting in the finer details, like, you have to be careful with these stories. I'm trying to be as careful as possible because obviously I don't want to run around going, Trump is a total pedo and like raped a bunch of kids and then none of this even happened. There's a lot of people that believe he did. He has allegations from adults for certain, and some of his conduct has been inappropriate with minors even, just generally, like his conduct. But this is like, Trying to force the friendship much earlier than was claimed. Okay, could it possibly happen? Hypothetically, yeah, and he just flung out 15 years and it's actually way over here. They never, I don't recall the media ever directly asking him, where did you meet him initially? Blah, blah, blah. It just says generically some odd years earlier. But that falls into 87. Okay, so now we push it to 84. But then where's these other allegations from this area? If it's actually claims, then there should be like a number of victims going, oh yeah, it was totally him, backing it up because they're saying there's other people. So in the story, you see there's like tons of other men. And it's just, I don't know. It's, I mean, sure, it could. It's like one of those things. Is it believable? I mean, sure, it's believable, but is it factual? It does not appear so. So that's why I discounted the story. It may just be, I don't know the MO to it. It just could be accidental, like thinking that other individual involved in her mom's thing is him, but it's actually not. And they just try to piece it together, and then they assume the other person was the other person, and then looked into that, got the information when the Trump Marina was around, and then it came together like some weird thing. They may have went to a hotel and then some guy got, did this bullshit, right? It could totally happen that way, you guys. That's why I'm like, But again, I do think it's wrong that they said there's zero evidence or facts. It's generically said, it's like there are some facts, but it doesn't point to Jeffrey. Like there's no facts that it was Jeffrey. But I have a problem with the story, because if the story is true on any corner of the story, it should be investigated to find out who those individuals are, because there's about 10 million dudes out here like Jeffrey Epstein, and nobody should be going on this way. So this is the other part I have a problem with FBI and all these other people about. It's like, okay, so there was a serial killer. So if you find out it's not that serial killer, then somebody else is doing it. So then therefore, why would you ever drop the investigation on that when you should be looking at who this other individual is? Right? So they have done things like that, and then they just throw out another perpetrator. Like they're ignoring another perpetrator that's doing something which mimics this other perpetrator. If that happened to her, that's awful. Just saying, I'm not discounting that. Nobody push your head down on somebody, blah, 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 blah. Like that may have happened. It just may not be these guys. But if it happened, then they should definitely investigate that. Like, what the hell's that? Right? So, I just want to lay it out, like where we're coming from and how I came to that. I don't run around just going, everybody's a liar. I hate it, because if I'm wrong, then it will, then I have to go through it and see like why I made the mistake. Men getting off on things that they should have never got off on, such as the Copperfield one. Oh God, they dropped the ball so early on that thing because they were sex shaming, and I believe they set up that girl. I honestly think they set up that girl to like drop the case, to keep the heat off of all of them. I knew there was something wrong with it. Like I had to sit there and keep in mind, you guys, my first like crush was David Copperfield, a different David, David Copperfield. And so like I have to actually look at him as a monster. So it was like, okay, I could do this. Thankfully we never met, because if I was a kid and they totally lured me over there, I probably would have went. The effed up thing about it is, because I was such a fan, that I would have been like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. I used to carry his photo in my pocket as a kid, like when I was like 6. And no, that's horrifying. It was horrifying. I was reading it going, I don't trust this guy. I don't believe anything that he's saying. He's not believable. Like the way he's coming off is insincere. Like he was hiding something, which he was, as you guys see. But he's like hiding something, and I was like, something's funny about this. Like something's really funny about it. And I kept bringing it up. I'm the one that kept bringing it up, and this is the guy I'm supposed to like, marry as a kid. I was like him and Michael Jackson. No, it was like just reeking at me. I go, I can't figure out what the problem is though. Like, I don't know where it would be wrong. Like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, where? Okay, this case happens, a girl does this, it doesn't seem right. But even though that case happened, doesn't validate them dumping the case on him. But they used it as an excuse to dump the case on him, even though they were already allegedly investigating for like a year. It was like already like this long investigation. And then at no time do they pull in Jeffrey or his friends, or you know, if they're doing actual like proper investigations, they should be finding all this stuff. They're not doing shit. Like, it's happening here, it's happening on people that are not famous, it's happening all over the place. It's just this whole area is underdeveloped. I don't know the word for it. It is just not where it should be. It's not up to par how these investigations are going. And I was like, how can we investigate the investigators? Because there are some investigators in here that are part of this bullshit. And then I was asking, who's overseeing FBI? And then nobody's answering these things. And I go, there is stuff going on that you guys don't even know. Like, what the hell? And then they don't even get in trouble. Like, you know, and our government should not be operating rogue like that.